Hello, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, August 5th. Tomorrow is my dad's birthday. A great day. And I wanted to remind you guys that if you all are new to my channel, please go ahead, like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you get awesome videos like today's midday market update. Let's go ahead and get into it. I do have this posted up here for you guys. If you go to cjntrade.com, you guys can sign up for 50% off my watch list, roughly 50 cents a day, through today, August 5th at midnight. All right, now you don't need to see any of that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the SPY analysis. I do have the brick wall up in my background. Why? Because we have this brick wall right up here, 332.25. We tested it here, almost tested it here, almost tested it, bumped up to 332.40. Hello, John. And then it pulled back. Now let's go and look at it on our 45-minute chart here. When we look at it on that bigger picture, we have broken above the midline for this channel, but we have this area that is just very strong resistance, i.e. a brick wall that we have to go ahead and break. Now, when we look at it on our daily, I know it's going to get all stretched out here, and I'll zoom in a second. Let's go like this. We just want to look at that. So we have the price action going up. Hello, but we need to pay attention down here. What's going on with our volume? Yes, we had higher spike right here, right? Just as we came up to this resistance. And now the volume is dropping as we go up even higher. We had a bit of an upward test up here of this price level, and now it's pulling back. On our weekly chart, we are still in that upward motion. However, is this going to really hold as a super brick wall? It was an area of resistance 1, 2, 3 weeks in the past, back in February. Then we had 2 weeks up above, came up and tested roughly up to that 340 area, and then we pulled back. Is it going to be the same thing? We are fairly extended away on our weekly chart right here. As we go back to our daily, we're going to see we're not that far away from the fastest moving average right here, roughly 329. If we came and tested that, which could happen, you can see that this moving average is always going to be pulled up as we gap up. So we have a little bit less to fill. Are we going to come down and test that close from yesterday, 330, and then the 329? Ultimately looking for that 327 level to go ahead and hold for support, which is also the resistance over here. So multiple reasons right there. And we do have this gap fill, which we have gone ahead and pretty much filled up here, right? So we came and we tested the low of this candle, 332.58 almost. We have 19 cents away that we were from that. So looking to see, are we really going to go ahead and head on up here? Now you guys do know I follow the dark pools. If you do not know what the dark pools is or are, come on over to the Trading Pit. We saw roughly 55 million shares of the SPY that was sold back here. Now, how do I know that it was selling? Well, we know based on the price action afterwards. However, we were prepared. We said, hey, if it goes ahead and it drops below this level, go ahead, put on some protection, be prepared. And what a nice ride down it was. I was actually on vacation and rocking this while on vacation, poolside down in the Dominican. So know that the dark pools are going to give you some insight as to what the really big guys are doing, where they're placing their money. And we get to see, all right, if it goes above this level, then hey, they were likely buying. If it goes below that level, then you know what, they were likely selling. And this market is proving itself to be bullish until it isn't anymore. We do have the Fed propping it up, likely going to have that stimulus announced hopefully by Friday. If it's not Friday, they might have to file an extension. If they don't come to a resolution by Friday, we might see a bit of a downturn. We might see it pull back here to our 50 simple moving average on the SPY, which wouldn't be unlikely. And so remember, the 7th is coming up. If we were to pull back, we might actually come back and test around over here, 317 area, or maybe this trend line right here, 320 area. Looking at the 10th and then on into the 12th, 321 or down to 318 maybe area right here. All right, let's look at the Qs for today. So the Qs, we are again surging up. They have just been skyrocketing lately. We are still a bit far away from moving averages, but you can see even though we were really high extended away here, it didn't really pull all the way back, but it's still continuing. Now, if you guys haven't checked out my most recent video that I just posted last night about Pitbull, Martin Buzzy Schwartz from Market Wizards, a great easy read, very much a more modern reminiscence of a stock operator. He does talk about his 3 up days. Be wary after that. So we kind of had a doji day here, 3 up days. We have volume dropping as of right now. We're still in the middle of it, but we might see a bit of a pullback on that 4th day tomorrow. So that's a good tip to take away from that book, and check out the video. It's a lot of other good things in there too. All right, so we had Fiverr that was on my watch list today. Now, this one went ahead. It had some great momentum. A lower float stock came down, and look how it's hit pretty much the 21 EMA, and we're riding it right on up. So liking it as a potential long as it can hold this 21 EMA, so 118.40 area. Again, watch, it is a lower float stock. I did draw some shorter term trend lines right here, and it's been breaking them to the upside. Square also had earnings today. Nice move right in the beginning of the day. Surged up to 157. I said, hey, if it goes ahead and breaks this 152.80, watch for a potential long trade from there. American Airlines as well. It's been hurting, right? I had not the biggest trade here because I said, hey, it really needs to go ahead and prove itself to the long side. It's had so much negative press and a lot of we've seen some dark pool action, looking for it to really go ahead and break out to the upside there. When we look at it on the daily chart, we're dealing with some roadblocks right here of these moving averages. So really, I think I'd really want to see it go ahead and break that 12.20, and then we'd likely have a dollar trade up to 13.24 from there. It does look like it found a nice support down here around $11, and they are starting to lay people off, which could likely show better numbers on the books for next quarter. CVS announced their earnings today, and it tanked. So I said, hey, if CVS goes below $66, sure enough, it did pre-market, and then it came back. GDX is crossing down, 44.50. That was also on my list today as well. And look, we are holding right at that 425 EMA on the 15-minute chart here, and just below the 200 simple moving average. So this could be a crucial point right here. Is this going to be a support level right around $64, or is it going to end up being a resistance level? What are we going to see here? So let's go ahead and pull this down here. See, is this going to be that new level of support to be broken to the downside for further downward trade? You can see back here, it was a resistance level, and now it's acting as support. All right, hello ASIF. Yeah, if you guys have questions too, I see we've got some people watching, go ahead and put them in. So GameStop today had a bit of a move, pre-market, already broke that level pre-market, and then a bit of a downward trade, and now it's just testing that support as a resistance. Beyond had their earnings today. A nice move right off the bat. Let's go ahead and look at it on the 5-minute chart. Thanks, Jello. ASIF Bat Scientist might be in the middle of doing some trials. He does do, he is a real scientist, and so he does do trials. So maybe his hands are dirty at the moment and he couldn't escape. So beyond, you could see, hey, this resistance was pretty strong right here. Once, twice, 3 times. It finally broke midday right at about 10:30. So wait for those levels. If you haven't read Reminiscence of a Stop Operator as well, go ahead and check it out. There's a reason why if you wait for those levels to be broken, it's that higher probability trade, right? Apple was down a little bit earlier, and I gave it a pretty wide range today because it did have big price movement yesterday, and I said, hey, you know what, I want to go ahead and see that if it's going to break down, it's going to break through this level. Now that we have this moving average right here, I'm going to move it on up. And I would say, hey, if it breaks down over 433.80, that's where I want to go ahead and watch it to the downside. But right now it's sort of just turning sideways. Microsoft had a red day. We did get some dark pool action yesterday, and we are below it a bit. But look, here we have that test. We had it tested back here, here, here. Is this going to act as our support? Right? Let's draw this down, pull it down here, and see if it will go ahead and act as support for the end of the day. Now, if Microsoft and Apple continue to go ahead and pull back, then it could very well end up with the market pulling back. We could have a bit of that seasonal downward turn. However, right now the SPY is trucking along, right? Yeah, Kodak under SEC investigation. You know what? It's also that it was a low float squeeze shovel. So sometimes that really happens with the lower floats, and it's not so much a pump and dump, but just a lot of price action. Hey, Brent, welcome. All right, so W today. So it came up, it hit a resistance, and I said, hey, if it's going to go ahead and break 292.50, look for that level. There was a lot of opportunity to go ahead and get in here and trade it to the upside. Nice $5 move right there, roughly, 2% on the trade. BTI as well hasn't done too much of anything, just sort of went sideways. Do you guys have anything that you would like to look at now? We also have VXX. So even though the SPY, we'll put them side by side. So VXX and the SPY, and we'll make them both a 5-minute chart. Just waiting on it to load. There we go. Okay, so it's interesting because we do have the SPY that's somewhat curling back, and so is the VIX. Now, many times you will see that these two will trade inversely, so that when the SPY is dropping, fear indicator is going up, right? VIX is going up. We did have higher than normal volume right here, and we see that the SPY is coming now for, this is a 45-minute chart. So let's go look at it on a 5-minute. It's interesting to see that the SPY is pulling back, and yet we have the VIX pulling back as well. So sometimes when that happens, you'll see that when they're not in agreement or they're traveling in the same direction, that sometimes one of them is lying. Well, if this is pulling back and this is pulling back, that might be a good long opportunity right here. However, we are extended away. Like I said, we could have, I like that 45 minutes, 425 EMA. So that next big long run to me would be, hey, I would like to go ahead and re-enter down here. 322.58 might take some profit up here, that we hit a resistance point from the past that acted as resistance for roughly 3 weeks back in February. So keeping that in mind, that's an area where we saw a top happen just before the big downturn. Is there any formula to predict how many percent a stock can go up or down based on the pre-market volume? ASIF, no, there isn't so much a percent. However, you can tell, like this, here we have dollar marks on the SPY. If you look at another one like Bitcoin, GBTC, you can see, hey, let me hide the indicators here just for a second. Labels. Okay, so here you have 50-cent increments. Right? It's going to be different for each stock. Sometimes you might see that it's going to be a 10-cent increment that you're going to be looking for moves. So you're going to be aware that if it has a smaller daily range, it will likely have a smaller move throughout the day. If you have one like Tesla could be a $12, $10 price scale that you're going to see on this axis right here. If you see that, hey, guess what? This one's 5 cents. You're probably going to see a $10 to $50 move throughout the day. I think probably, a good estimate would say, hey, if it's roughly 10 times this range that's being naturally drawn, 5 times that price increment, that would be a big move for that stock throughout the day. But if you're seeing, hey, this is $10, $50 move is going to be a sizable move. American Airlines, okay, 10 cents, 50-cent move throughout the day. It's going to probably be a nice sizable move. All right, does that answer your question, Asif? Platinum as well has been doing well. This is one that I have as a potential longer term holding because of all of the metals at this time are moving up like 2008. We were just talking about it actually in the trading room, how the gold is trading inversely to the dollar right now, which happened as well in 2008 with all of the devaluation of the dollar. All right. You know what, Kawakila, we have had some interesting dark pool activity on Boeing stock. You know what, Joseph? I did just add it in today. Actually, here, I have my watch list for today so you guys can see. I just added it in today. Somebody was asking me for the SPY, so I did go ahead and throw it in and say, hey, 331 for potential support and resistance 332.25. So when we look at it, it really didn't break out too much. It just tested it here above, and we haven't come down. So right now, there's not really a trade for the big long or short. You know, if we do break down below 331, there might be a nice move down to 330. Go ahead and fill that gap down. I watched a video that someone did before saying roughly 80% of the time that they try to fill the gap on the SPY. So whether that is to the long side or to the short side, they try to fill that gap throughout the day. So if we gap up, see, like now we have VXX dropping. You see that? So I don't know if there's an announcement coming out. There's not really any announcements until, but look, it bounced right off of here, off of this moving average. So is this going to hold a support right here at 331.50? And again, would like to see if it breaks that 331, here's that low from pre-market that I'm looking at. It would need to go ahead and break that to the downside, and then we've got this nice gap to fill down to 330. I saw an article, JP Morgan said old generation prefer gold over dollar and young generation prefer Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin and Ethereum have been very, very active in this time. So looking at that, also looking potentially at gold-based cryptos as well. Kind of put the two together, cryptocurrency, gold, or silver, and moving forward with that. Because if the older generation is buying gold, then those gold cryptos will also go ahead and move. And many of the gold cryptos can actually be exchanged for physical gold at the same time. All right, guys. Have an amazing day. If you have not already checked out my watch list, 50% off through midnight tonight. The link is down in the description below. Carpe Profit, seize those profits one trade at a time, and I will see you all at 12:15 tomorrow. Have a great one. Bye.